Hey, what's going on, dudes and dudettes? I am the Mystical Green Beanie. Marvel's Avengers. Okay, I'm gonna skip the fanfare and introductions on this one. This game is not great. I've played roughly 50-ish hours, maybe less because I've been busy with school since the semester started back up recently, but from what I've played, and from what I've seen and heard from others who have played this game, it's not great. And that's a damn shame, because The Avengers is the most popular superhero franchise in the world right now. And its video game counterpart is... That's not to say that the game is terrible. In fact, in a lot of ways, I think it's far from terrible. And nowhere near as bad as a lot of people are trying to make it out to be. Because there are some good things here, but the thing that really digs the knife in my gut is that so much of this game is as good as it is. It just makes the stuff that's not great all the more worse. All the more worse. Is that a phrase? Am I using English correctly? Anyways, I guess I lied. I did do an introduction of sorts. But anyways, let's get into the video. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was the gameplay. Because at the end of the day, I think gameplay is the most important factor in, well, playing a video game. And the best way that I can describe the gameplay experience is that it's fun, except for when it isn't. So the controls are pretty simple and lend themselves to some pretty sweet combos. One problem: this is a game with a sprawling cast of highly unique characters with highly unique skill sets and powers. And the game's combat utilizes a one-size-fits-all method of gameplay, and it kind of breaks immersion at times. For example, Hulk and Thor, at least in the comics, are world destroyers. Like, they have the power to go full Man of Steel if they wanted to. You know, they can level civilizations in minutes. So why is it that the Hulk will deal the same amount of damage to an enemy as Captain America or Ms. Marvel? I mean, yeah, sure, they're superpowered too, but come on, he's the Incredible Hulk. Same for Thor. It's just really weird. You know, swinging Mjolnir, a hammer crafted from the heart of a dying star, imbued with the power of a sentient cosmic storm, dealing the same amount of damage as Black Widow when she hits people with her little shock sticks. I mean, I get that it's a video game, but the power scaling feels a bit off, you know? I feel like a line of dialogue here or there would have been really nice regarding the Adaptoids and their power set, like, they're specifically designed to take down whatever enemy they're facing, which is why they're suddenly on your character's level, or can use your moves against you in some cases. I don't know, something like that. Anything would have helped. Also, this game is designed for the grind. And bro, I am grinding harder than a high school senior who's failing her geometry class. I am on this game's dick religiously, and I feel like I'm not getting anything in return. Because this game is set up like a looter shooter because it's a live service game, which is unfortunate. Because I think the combat gameplay is actually really fun, and I love the traversal that's unique to all of the characters, except for the Hulk. Hulk's just not fun to play with at all in this game. He's nerfed and he moves at the pace of a heroin-addicted tortoise.
Whack.
But the game cripples itself by demanding that the player devote all of their time to the game just to level your characters to a point where you, the player, are on an even-ish playing field with enemies in war zones. And not only does it feel kind of crappy, I also feel like it misses the point of the superhero power fantasy. The reason Spider-Man PS4 is so gratifying is because while that game can be challenging depending on your level of difficulty, once you master the controls, you really feel let me do that in my IGN voice for a second. You really feel like Spider-Man. Same with the Arkham games. Those games, while not difficult, will keep you on your toes. And once you master that control scheme, motherfucker, you feel like the goddamn Batman. But in this game, unless you level your Avengers to an adequate power level, you feel just about as lame and irrelevant as the Avengers before 2012. And ultimately, the game is just too hard. And that's not to say that I don't like hard games. I love when video games are super hard. Rock hard. Coomer jacking it with a vacuum cleaner while browsing BBC destruction videos hard. Hell, my favorite video game in the entire world is Devil May Cry 3. And for the past 10 years, I've played that game on Dante Must Die difficulty. So it's not a matter of not enjoying the difficulty of the gameplay experience. It's more so just, this game is heavily unbalanced, which can make the game less fun and more of a drag, to be honest. Then there's the problem of gear and the cosmetic features. And yes, it is a problem. Because we've seen this loot system play out in games before, but we've seen it play out better in past games. I know a lot of people have been citing Anthem and Destiny and games like that, but I haven't played those, so I'm not going to use them as a comparison. But I have played God of War 4, and I have played Injustice 2. And those games do the loot gear system way better than this game. Which is unfortunate, because when we were given details on how the game would play and what the game would look like at E3 2019, and we were told about the gear system, I thought that it was going to be like Injustice 2 or God of War, where you find or earn loot boxes and either come across gear that's both cosmetic and alters your character stats, or you earn in-game currency that allows you to buy gear that will alter your character stats while customizing your character's appearance to be whatever you wanted it to be. Instead, gear is nothing more than a tool that you use to upgrade your character's stats. Meanwhile, for cosmetics, the game offers you alternate costume skins that are blocked behind a paywall, which isn't unheard of, especially with superhero games. The Arkham games made you pay for skins as well, but the key difference is bang for your buck. Because if you were going to pay for skins in Arkham Knight, or Arkham Origins, or Arkham City, they'd come in a skins pack, meaning, yeah, I'm paying $10 for alternate costume skins, but that's $10 for 5 skins. I mean, yeah, it's kind of scummy, especially in a post-Insomniac Spider-Man world where we were either given alternate costumes for free, or had to unlock them for free. But at least when giving Rocksteady and Warner Bros. Montreal my money, it felt like I was getting something for it. Here, skins cost like $15 fucking dollars. You gotta be shitting me. And it's not like there's that much variety for the skins either. Because really, for each character, there's like 4 skins. Each recolored 5 times over to give you this illusion of variety. And that's a major ripoff. You mean to tell me that these characters have been around for 60, 70, 80 years? You know, Iron Man has had hundreds of armors, hundreds of redesigns, and hundreds of visual interpretations, and he gets nothing but recolors. And yeah, King Thor is cool, but what about Thunderstrike? You know, what about Thor's goofy-ass 90s costume? What about Ultimate Thor? What about his classic comic book outfit? And I swear to fucking God, if you tell me that any one of those is behind a paywall, I will spit fire from which the earth has never seen. Because if it is, it shouldn't be. It should be free. This game already cost $60. Bare minimum effort was put forward. Yet, you want $60. Plus $15 for skins, and additional payment for recolors of those skins. Well shit, what else do you want from me? My kidneys? The soul of my first unborn child? Jesus Christ, you greedy fucks. If you're gonna charge me out the ass, the least you can give us is a game that's worth it. Hell, even a game that's not polluted with bugs and glitches. And that's another thing. This game is glitchy as hell. In fact, as I record this, the official Twitter for Marvel's Avengers reported that there were over 1,000 glitches that were going to be fixed in the game's new update. And it's fine that those problems are finally being addressed, but it's not a good look when you put out a game with over 1,000 glitches with a $60 price tag on it. And I'm not just talking about little bugs here or there where the textures aren't fully rendered in scenes, or glitches where Kamala Khan pays homage to her favorite Assassin's Creed game by choosing not to fully render her face in a cutscene. That's negligible. I can forgive that. What's not negligible is enemies glitching into the space between spaces and getting trapped behind walls, which means that I'm now trapped in an enemy encounter because I can't punch a guy that's stuck behind 4 feet of source code concrete, which means I now have to start the mission all over again just to meet my objective because of this glitch. Also, there was another glitch where during the campaign I was playing as Iron Man and I encountered an underground aim facility that was nothing but a cosmic abyss.
Fucking embarrassing!
But then there's the game story, which a lot of people are touting as the game's saving grace. And I just don't agree. Like, not even in the least bit. The best way that I can describe my experience with the game's campaign is that it reminded me of the Michael Bay Transformers movies. You know how a lot of people went into those films expecting a riveting story about the Transformers that paid respect to the legacy and the lore of the Transformers, while we explored the personal ideologies and nuances of the Autobots and the Decepticons in this Transformers movie. But instead we got yeah, I felt the same level of frustration in playing this game. I paid for an Avengers game. Instead, I got Kamala Khan Ms. Marvel featuring the Avengers. Which, I don't know, wouldn't have been so bad if I actually liked Kamala as the POV character, or found her endearing, or if she had a clear, concise character arc. But that's not the case. Instead, Kamala Khan feels like she was written by some Hollywood jagoff who still thinks grounded and relatable equates to being socially inept and OMG, I'm so quirky. And she has this whole Avengers fangirl thing going on, which is an element of her character in the comics, so it's not like the writers weren't being faithful to her comic book counterpart, but I don't recall her ever being this annoying or cringeworthy. And the game feels like it's bending over backwards to hype up how cool and endearing she is when she's not. Now, I know that this term gets thrown around a lot, unfortunately, by people who don't actually know what the term means, but Kamala Khan is a textbook Mary Sue character in this game. She's the absolute worst version of Rey from the Star Wars sequels and Peter Parker from the MCU. She is those two characters blended together, making them, by some hellish perversion of the word miracle, better characters by comparison. She's the plucky young POV character who's the heart of the game, and the heart of the story, and the heart of the team, and everyone loves her, and she knows everything there's to know about the Avengers, and she saves the day. She even has this character arc about accepting herself and embracing her powers, which ends with her transforming into the giant woman of Rebecca Sugar's wet dreams. But it's never properly communicated, this inner struggle that she's having about being a mutant. I mean an inhuman. And by the way, I don't think anything that this game tries to do with her character is inherently bad. In fact, I think telling the story of a teenager who's struggling with their body because superpowers are like a puberty metaphor or whatever, and they live in this dystopian society where the heroes they grew up with have fallen apart and she has to bring them together and help them rediscover who they are and what they mean to the world, while she goes on her own journey of self-discovery and comes to terms with who she is, and what she is, and what she could potentially be as an icon of inspiration in her own right. That story sounds cool. It's just not this story, because unfortunately, it comes down to a matter of concept versus execution, and the execution was handled in the most hackneyed, amateurish way possible. You know, the more I talk about it, the more I start to realize how much of this game feels like fan fiction. Like, this game feels like it was written by somebody who watched all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe films and did a quick Wikipedia search on other existing Marvel characters and wrote an Avengers fanfic. And you feel that in the way that characters in this game's story talk and interact with one another.
AIM's just the latest in a long line of bullies. You know what I think about bullies.
Oh my god, I don't know what's worse. The fact that somebody wrote this or the fact that that person got paid for it. And I said this in my video where I critiqued the aesthetic presentation of the game a few months pre-launch. My biggest problem with Marvel's comics and cartoons currently is that they all feel like attempts at recreating the tone and style of the Marvel Cinematic Universe without actually understanding why people like the Marvel Cinematic Universe or understand the charm that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has. And after finally playing the game, yeah, that's the case here too. Iron Man does not feel like Iron Man. He feels like a cartoonish caricature of Robert Downey Jr. playing Iron Man. And I get that the Marvel Cinematic Universe's Iron Man is jokey and silly and a self-absorbed narcissist, and that's what the game's version of the character is pulling from, because that's what every version of Iron Man's based on these days. But MCU Iron Man is not a cartoon character who's so up his own ass he's practically a Disney villain. Motherfucker's password is literally, I am Iron Man. Please, if we could just let Robert Downey Jr.'s quirky, quippy Tony Stark just die with Avengers Endgame, that'd be nice. Meanwhile, Black Widow feels like Scarlett Johansson with more dialogue, even if every scene that she's in feels like it was written by an edgy teenage girl who thinks being standoffish and cold is cool, I guess. I mean, it's cool that she actually gets more to do here and feels more like a key player than she ever did in the movies, but a little more depth than a Fortnite character would be appreciated. And you can really say the same for the other Avengers present. Everyone either feels like hollow archetypes of their MCU counterparts, or blank slates with Marvel Universe names randomly slapped onto them. I say all this to say that my biggest beef with the game's narrative is that the game desperately wants me to take its characters seriously, with its ultra serious plot, and its ultra serious stakes, and its ultra serious themes about racism, being different, and standing up to evil corporations who take advantage of people suffering for monetary gain. That's the irony. But the characters which I'm experiencing the story through are straight up Saturday morning cartoon characters that feel like they were taken directly from a cartoon designed to tie into a major blockbuster movie. These Avengers do not take anything seriously, and it's kind of off-putting. The Avengers are constantly quipping at each other and feel like teenagers in a high school sitcom with a laugh track at the ready.
Sometimes you gotta run before you can walk.
Dude, what?
How's it suit?
It's your way back in. Put on a suit.
That's not what I meant.
Hey, not everyone's a super soldier, pal.
$10 if Tony's on a juice cleanse.
I'll take that wager. I'll take the bet.
There's like a massive casualty rate here, so I'm not sure if you knew that or if you're just trying to diffuse tension, but there are people dying right now, just so you know. Wait, never mind, I take it back. I got a better one. I got a way better one that I totally forgot about. My real beef with this game's narrative is the Inhumans. And I don't want to harp on this too much because I've already talked about this in past videos, but this plot point really really holds this Avengers game back from feeling like an Avengers story, and makes it feel like it would be more appropriately suited for an X-Men game, which I'm sure we'll never get now because this game is an X-Men game. Check it out. These colorful Marvel heroes who are shunned by the world for their superpowers work together and help a small band of superpowered freedom fighters to rescue superhuman people from concentration camps and illegal detention centers, and they have to fight killer robots who were designed by this private corporation that's in league with the US government with the specific purpose of hunting and killing these superhumans. This is the X-Men. You made an X-Men game, and you just swapped out the X-Men for the Avengers, Kitty Pryde for Kamala Khan, Trask Industries for AIM, and the Resistance for the Morlocks. Did nobody in the development process of this game think to bring that up? Or was the narrative just an afterthought? Just like everything else in this game feels like an afterthought. Bros, this game lacks a soul. I know I said at the top of the video that the game wasn't that bad, but the more I talk about it and the more that I think about it, maybe it is. The narrative, the gameplay, the loot system, none of it feels like it was made with any passion or love for these characters or the Marvel Universe. It feels like a game that was rushed out and designed by committee. A committee that knew that they could cash in on a quick buck by riding the coattails of the most profitable film franchise in cinema history, and that's a damn shame. Because the Avengers deserve better. In short, this game was very underwhelming. I expected more from the developers of the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot. I expected more from the developers of Deus Ex. I expected more from the developers of Final Fantasy VII Remake. And quite honestly, after Insomniac's Spider-Man and the spectacular, amazing, ultimate superhero power fantasy gameplay experience I had with that game, I expected more from Marvel games. Anyways, those are my thoughts on Marvel's Avengers. Have you played it? Do you still want to? What were your thoughts regarding my thoughts on the game? Do you agree with me on anything? Do you disagree? Let me know down below in the comment section. Also, if you like this video, hit the like button, share, support the channel, and if you want to see more content like this, all you have to do is subscribe. I'm the Mystical Green Beanie. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.
Show me what you